how you ask is important. With Typeform, it's everything. If you're lazy or got better things to do, pick a template and get on with your day. Ask any kind of question you want, because business doesn't have to mean business as usual. That means you can make it brainy and efficient, or silly and fun. Your Typeform, your rules. Make every interaction count, from start to send. You can keep things simple and tidy if you want, or use the image gallery and look for eye candy. And others zig, you zag. Connect Typeform straight into your workflow and save your future self some headache. When you're done, just share the link or embed it into your site without writing a single line of code. With Typeform, you can pick someone's brain and look like a pro. It's easy to use and free to get started.
A stronger relationship with my customers means better business, but it's hard with just email and a website to have a human connection. So that's why I want to show you Video Ask. Video Ask is a new way to engage with people through interactive video conversations, like this one. You just record yourself like I did, then you share it as a link or embed it on your website. People can respond with video or audio, or you can give them options to choose from. For example, hi there, nice to meet you. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Tim.
Awesome. Now I can follow up with another pre-recorded question. What's your role?
I'm a product marketer. I'm a product marketer.
When someone answers, their response goes straight to the Video Ask inbox. And the audio is transcribed so you can search for it later.
I'm a product marketer.
And when I want to carry on the conversation, I can easily reply with a Video Ask. Hi, Tim. You can also start a follow-up Video Ask with any of your respondents and keep the conversation going asynchronously. You can use it to qualify leads, collect testimonials, for recruitment, and much more. So that's Video Ask. Want to try it out?
Wow, exciting stuff. Well, welcome back to day 7. We have made it a long way in No Code Week. So welcome back to day 7. We have a great panel of people today. And with this, we have just Typeform. Typeform is going to give us great information on creating friendlier surveys, as well as being able to automate your information and information that you're gathering. So without further ado, for one, we want to thank all of our sponsors. We want to thank Tapcart. We want to also thank .xyz. We want to thank Video Ask as well, which you'll hear a little bit more about this afternoon. And welcome Amy Carlson. She is running the show today, and she is the Customer Outcomes Manager at Typeform. Welcome, Amy.
Hi, Laurel. Thanks so much. So as Laurel mentioned, my name is Amy. I'm a Customer Outcomes Manager here at Typeform. I am calling in from beautiful, sunny Barcelona. We're really lucking out this week.
Jealous.
Yeah, it's fair enough. Just beautiful, clear blue skies and no snow or anything. So yeah, very happy. I'm just kind of gonna walk everyone through. So I'll be sharing my screen. It'll be pretty low key. So if anybody has questions, please feel free to use the chat, and we will be happy to answer them.
Yeah, and Typeform is doing a lot of cool new things in 2021. Yesterday, we had Nicholas on from your team as well as your developer advocate, and he shared some really cool tips and insights on Typeform and what's coming in 2021. So we're excited to have him. He is backstage when we bring him on as well. But make sure you guys go in and check that out as well. I mean, you guys can subscribe to StartupStarter TV through YouTube, and you can also see this on YouTube as well. Once this is over, we'll have it there. So yeah, I'll let you do your thing, and we're really excited. Also, keep in mind, when you set up your StartupStarter.co profile, you can take advantage of the perks and deals that Typeform has given specifically to StartupStarter members. So exciting stuff. And Amy, this is your show. Take it away, do your thing, and we'll look for some chats in the chat box as well.
Sounds good. Thanks so much, Laurel.
I'll see you on the other side. Whenever you're ready.
And we got it there. All right, fabulous. So hello, everyone. My name, again, is Amy. Oops. So I'm just, what have I done? Sorry, everyone. So I'm just going to keep this pretty simple. So what we're going to go through today is a lead generation and qualification. So kind of what are the benefits of a lead qualification form? So first, you can qualify and prioritize to understand who you're speaking with before you jump on a call. Same thing next is just saving time by having that first conversation without jumping on a call. It also allows you to ask critical questions before what you would like to know before scheduling a call, kind of to give you that information that you would like to have before that first call. And we'll also go through segment your audience from the beginning and automating the process. There are a few important things to define before you build out that form. And mostly is you have to put yourself into the respondent's shoes while keeping your process in mind. So a few key things to remember before building your form. First is think about what they need from you. Think about the key information that you need from them, but also make sure you tell them about the next steps. And now we can jump into actually building the Typeform. So from here, I'm actually in my Typeform workspace. So I'll be keeping that information in mind. So again, what do they need from me? What do I need from them? And what are the next steps? So what I'll do is to build out my form, we're going to go ahead and in my workspace. And we are not going to use one of these absolutely fabulous templates. You're all going to sit with me as I as I type through all of the questions. So we start from scratch. And then I am not creative, so we're just going to go ahead and go lead generation. And what are we creating? Lead gen form. And continue. So the first question, I do want it to be very conversational, but I also want it to be very to the point. So they're coming to me for a reason. I definitely don't want to waste their time. So we're just kind of gonna get right to it, but still kind of keeping it conversational. So what can we help you with today? And then for this multiple choice question, yeah, we'll keep it multiple choice and go art direction and web design and app design. So next, I'm going to add a yes/no question to determine if they have information that me and my team need to reference. It's helpful. So what I'll be asking is whether or not they have a website that we can reference. So do you have a website that we can reference? And then if they say yes, I want them to be able to add that website. Please put the link to your website here. And then now we're going to ask for a budget. So in general, clients with a higher budget do tend to convert. So we're going to add a multiple choice. And we'll say, what is your budget for this project? And we'll go 0 to 500, 500 to 1,000, 1,000 to 1,500, and then 1,500 plus. And I'm going to make this required. So you can kind of play around, especially so with all of the question types, as you hover over the middle of the screen, you're able to play around kind of with the permissions of each question. So for example, you can see required. So that means that they can't finish the survey without filling out this question. Multiple selection means they can choose more than one. Randomized, so as they load the form, this will randomize the selections. And then adding in an other option. So the other option is really nice. Maybe not for this question in particular, but another use case that you can use. So if I add the other option, this allows them to actually write in, just to kind of give you what that looks like. This allows them to write in an answer. So very ugly here right now, but just to show you. So as I click on that, it gives me the ability to type an answer. But for now, we don't necessarily need that because I would like to know their very specific budget. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to add a scale question or a rating question, excuse me. And we're going to ask about the urgency. So it's a great question to ask. Of course, it's not necessary, but it does give you a sense of when the prospective client is expecting a turnaround. And it also tells you about their stress level, which will be important to consider before and during your first conversation with them. So on a scale of 1 to 5, what is the urgency this project. And I'm not going to do stars. I'm just thinking if I'm really stressed out, I probably don't want to use stars. So you can customize. Again, it's the ability to customize each question on the screen itself. So I'm going to use circles. Why not? Okay, and now I'm going to jump into kind of the conversational things. So I'm actually going to ask them for their first name. So what is your name? And finally, maybe my most important question is going to be my email question. We'll keep it conversational and your email address. And then we'll also have this as required. So regardless of if they make it through my entire form, I absolutely need their email address. That's going to be the primary way that I follow up with them. So again, even if they fill out absolutely nothing, as long as I have an email address, then I'll be able to get in touch and ask them a little bit more about these questions. So we're okay. For now, we're going to leave the layout out. We'll update that in a minute. But now I'm going to move on to the ending. So the last step that we mentioned, or the last point of those earlier slides, were, okay, what are the next steps? So as of right now, I want there to be two routes that they can go down. So the first is going to be, okay, let's schedule a call. Okay, well, first, thank you. Thank you for that information. Let's set up a call. And then I'm going to customize this button. Set up a call. I'll see if I can log into my Calendly. Ooh. Sorry, everyone. Oh, it's a different one. Okay. Just a quick second here. So, and essentially what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to add a link to this button. So I would be adding my Calendly link so that when they click on this button, they are redirected to a place that they can request a call with me. Sorry, we're not going to go through that. I apologize. So what I can do is I can add any link as long as it's an HTTPS. So for example, you can send them to a Typeform. In this case, in this particular use case, I would want to send them to my Calendly link. There we go. And once I add that here, they click on set up a call and they're redirected. So the second option is that my team is going to reach out to them. And so we'll say, thank you for sharing that information with us. And let's go ahead and recall. So all I did was I put up the @ sign, and it does give me the ability to recall information that has already been shared with me. So for example, I asked for their name. So what this will do is this will add their name. And I, send it to that question. And our team will be in touch in the next 24 to 48 hours. And for now, we'll turn off the social share and I'll turn off the button. And for this one, we'll also turn off the social share. Okay. So, I mean, so far, I think it looks okay. So now we're going to play around a little bit with the design. So first, I'm going to publish because I'm a nervous Nelly. So we'll go ahead and design. So one of the things that I can do from this design is I can actually use themes that I've used before. So these are themes that either I've created, within my account, or all through essentially throughout time. So what I'll do for this one is let's do outcomes quiz. That's a pretty nice one. I like the greens that I added for that one. And either that, or I can go to the gallery of the Typeform created templates that you can use. But I like this one. It's kind of fun. I do like plants, even though I kill them regularly. So what that does is that shows me, okay, let's see how all of these look. All my questions look great. And so one of the fun things about design in general, so as I go into this theme itself, so if I do want to edit, let's say, okay, maybe I want to move this around, maybe I want the brightness down a little bit on the background image, you can do that from here. You can also do that from the layout section as well, but anything to do with like where the the type is on the page, welcome screen, and endings. You can increase and decrease the size of the fonts. And you can also left align and center align the text. Same thing with the questions. I can also update the font to match, let's say, a website, or keep it within my brand. This is a great place to do that. However, if I just want to kind of go question by question, let's say, okay, I want to go ahead and add, let's say I want to add an image to this. So we can go, let's say, we'll go here. So I can update another image to the right. And if I go into edit here, I can add in a photo from Unsplash. I can also upload a video or a video ask. You can also use an icon, or if you have photos that you've used before. So for example, in my gallery, I told you I like plants. And so I can add one of these that I've used in the past. So for now, I don't know if I need to overload it this much with plants. So I'll just go ahead and remove it. And then that keeps it congruent with the template that I've already chosen. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're actually going to build out different branching paths to the appropriate endings. And for this, I'm going to use our logic. So for our logic, the type of logic that I'll be using primarily for this will actually be our advanced logic. Because I want the logic to skip questions and I want to send my respondents to different endings, I'm going to do that from here with the branching and calculations. So while I'm building out the logic, I'm also going to score my leads. And to score my leads, I'm going to use a point system to determine who I should reach out to first based on criteria decided by me and my team. And it will tell us who is going to be the most likely to convert. It's a helpful way to prioritize leads without having to jump on a call first, which saves you time and also gives you quite a bit of information before the initial call. And the conversation when you're on the call will actually be streamlined and you can kind of get to work right away. There are a lot of really interesting use cases that you can use calculations for. I mean, the one that comes up really frequently is like, let's say for like a test or a quiz and you want to score questions, you can use that kind of, it's like a very fundamental way, but you can get really, really creative with using calculations. I mean, there's tons of ways that folks are using calculations to, to qualify or to add points to something. So what I'm going to do, so adding that score. So I'm going to go ahead and score the first question. So my ideal customer profile is someone who is coming to me for art direction. So we're going to go ahead and add, let's say, 10 points to the score. And then for the other two, and so what I've done here is I'm saying if they choose art direction, then I want 10 points. I mean, 10, just 10 added to the score. I'm going to call them points. Been watching too much March Madness. So, but if they say web design or app design, we're going to go ahead and add 5 points to their score. And then the second question, so do you have a website that we can reference? I mean, the more information that we have is good. So it is a yes/no question. So I'm actually going to add 20 points and set up a jump so that they go to the question where they can upload their website. If they answer no, then I want them to skip the next question. So, and I'm going to assign them no points and have them skip to question 4. So to set that up, if they say yes, then add 20 points to the score. And if they say yes, and if they say no, then add no points and jump to question 4. And then at question 3, we don't need to add anything because we added those 20 points. And then for the budget question, again, I mentioned it earlier, so clients who have a higher budget do tend to convert a little bit more. So we're going to assign 5 points to those first 2 options. Oops, wrong question. There we go. We're going to say or. So this is saying if the answer is 0 to 500 or 500 to 1,000, then we're going to add 10 points to score. Actually, we're going to go with 5. Sorry. And then if they say 1,000 to 1,500, then we're going to add 10 points to the score. And then finally, for the big money clients, we're going to go ahead and add 20 points. And then the urgency, so this is kind of it's an interesting question. So the higher the urgency, the more points I think that they should get, because again, they're more likely to convert and they need a really quick turnaround. So even if they may have a lower budget, maybe they lose points there, but the urgency raises the priority or the qualification. So what I'm going to go ahead and do here is say, if on a scale of 1 to 5 is lower or equal to 3, then add, we'll say 5 points to their score. I know it feels low. And then this for the second one is greater or equal to 4. So those 4s and those 5s, then we are going to go ahead and double their score. And then we won't give them points for the name or for or for their email address. So with the scores in mind, what I'm going to say to the form now is, okay, what happens after that 7th question? So where should they go from here? So remember that we created those 2 endings. So what I'm going to say is, if the score is lower than, we'll say 30, then jump to, we're going to go to that second ending screen saying, okay, my team will get in touch with you. And we don't need that because in all of their cases, so anything that is, we said lower than, let's say lower than or equal to 30, and then those 31 and above will always jump to, let's set up a call. And we're going to go ahead and save from here. And what I will do is I'm going to preview first. So let's publish just in case. Again, nervous Nelly. So we'll start out as a hot lead. So ideal customer profile is art direction, who has a website with a big budget, high urgency. My name is Amy. And submit, and it should send me to let's set up a call. And when they click here, they are sent to the Calendly link or wherever you want to redirect them, essentially. So now I'm going to be a low lead, so no website, low budget, low urgency. And our team will be in touch with you in 24 to 48 hours. So one other thing that I do like to point out, especially on using the preview functionality that I'm currently using. So with this type of ability that you have to see how your Typeform looks before you send it out into the world. So for example, as I look here, I see that the text is maybe a little bit too dark. So what I can do is I can update that. Again, it's only on mobile. You can also double check with desktop. So on desktop, it's obviously like pretty clear to see, but since it is on mobile, I'm going to go ahead and update that actually. And let's go to actually no, we'll just update that screen. So I believe it was the first one. Fabulous. And sorry about that. So let's make that just a little bit brighter. Okay, that should be a little bit easier to read and doesn't look too awful. Another thing we can do is also just change the font color. But for now, I'll leave this and let's see how that looks. Oh, sorry, I forgot I was a bad lead. Oh yeah, no, okay, I'm doing okay. So no website, low budget. And let's keep that urgency low. And Amy, and one thing I do want to point out is I have my name here, and this welcomes, or that thank you screen should be populating my name. Thank you for sharing that information with us, Amy, so you can see my name. So again, not perfect. So let's go ahead and update that thank you screen. So we're actually going to do a layout. And let's do one from my gallery because I trust all the ones in my gallery. We'll do this little guy, add that here. And you can play around with like the filters and the different colors and things like that. So I think, to be honest, I think we're okay on the brightness because that text will appear in the middle of the screen. So what that's done is that has now added a background image to this itself. And let's see how that fares. So from here, you can kind of play around with that brightness a little bit. Okay, so that should be okay. And that's it. So that's it for design. We're doing okay with logic. So now I am going to jump into settings a little bit just to kind of show you the fun different things about settings. So you can update your Typeform to be in different languages. You can also set up like email notifications. So if you do want to be notified each time a lead comes in, you can set up the self notifications from here. You can also set up respondent notifications. And so what those look like is you're sending your respondent, the person who has responded, because you're collecting the email address. You're able to say like, hey, we received your submission. Thank you and have a nice day. This is really good if it's like an order form. So you can also use that recall information functionality and say like, okay, we received your submission. Here's what you ordered. And so these are all your answers. And that can send over like you ordered 4 candles and I don't know, 2 hot dogs. But you can send all of that information into an email. So it kind of reduces one of those follow-ups. It's just kind of an automated process. So I'm going to turn off the respondent notification. So the self notification is something really similar. So, but it just gets sent to yourself and it tells you the information. And this can be customized, of course. And yeah, so that's all the email notifications. So I'm going to save and then some more information, progress bar. So at the bottom, it does show a progress bar. If you don't want that, so you can either do proportion or percentage. It is really good to kind of tell your respondents first, like how long a Typeform is going or how long the interaction is supposed to last. So I think we've all been there where we've accidentally or on purpose clicked on a form and found out it's taking 20 minutes and we're already halfway through. So what do? Do you keep going? Do you turn back and exit forever? So it is really nice to give a heads up. And there is on our welcome screens, so we haven't added a welcome screen yet, but on the welcome screens, it does say the amount of time. So you can also turn that off and we can go through what that looks like. But it's, again, just kind of best practices to show, or at least tell your audience like, okay, hey, this is about how long this form will take. So yeah, 3-4 minutes is very different than 30 to 40, and nobody likes to find out a form is going to take them 30 to 40 minutes. Navigation arrow, so in the bottom right-hand corner of every Typeform, I mean, unless you turn it off, are the navigation arrows to skip questions. Redirect on completion, very similar to what we set up on those endings. But on those endings, because we only wanted one to redirect, but you can set it up for all of your endings. And then UTM tracking, so you can add these to your different forms. And to show you what I was mentioning, so we'll just add that welcome screen. Hello, welcome to my Typeform. And then you can see, yeah, time to complete. So what this will show is the time to complete to your audience. Not everybody likes that. So for example, if you do have quite a few like open-ended questions, there are some folks who take a good amount of time, especially like with feedback and things like that, who do take quite a bit of time, which offsets the average. I mean, if it's 2 multiple choice and 1 close-ended and it's a 30-minute survey, it's likely not. So yeah, some people like to have this on, some people like to have it off. But again, if it is a super short form, it's good to just say it's a few multiple choice questions and 1 open answered. So you can also customize the button and just say, let's go. And I'll show you what that time to complete looks like. So we'll publish and preview. So time to complete, obviously, of course, doesn't show here yet, but when we go to test the Typeform itself, it will. And that is, so I've added all of the different questions. However, it's definitely not all of our questions. I've kept it pretty simple for the most part. Some of our cooler questions, I love all the questions equally, but some of our cool new ones are the ranking questions. So in a ranking question, you can say, okay, rank in order of importance, the following 6 options, like what is the most important to you, and they can drag and drop. Another cool question type that we've just added is the matrix question. So adding in those, how do you feel about these 6 topics? Strongly agree, strongly disagree, those types of questions. And then my personal favorite is actually our opinion scale. I mean, I love a good Likert scale. Weirdly, I guess that's one of my quirks. But you can, I put on like left label, center label, right label. So this is really great for NPS, especially if you're launching with our email embed and anything like that. So for now, we will remove those and publish. And let's see what our Typeform interaction looks like. So as you can see, hello, welcome to my Typeform, and this is that time to complete. So we're going to say, let's go, and let's be a high lead. Actually, no. Fabulous. And then once I click on the set up a call, it should redirect me to the Typeform homepage. So that link can be anything. I mean, if you, again, my attempt was to use Calendly, but apparently I was logged out of Calendly in the past hour. But you can honestly link it to anywhere. It's especially helpful if you're using like social media or anything like that. If you're using social share to use redirect on completion, it is helpful to just send them to specific websites depending on what you want that customer journey to look like. So now I'm going to jump into our integrate panel. So what you can do from here is, I always think of integrations as essentially like where you want to store the data. So in order to see all of my leads in my ecosystem, we do have HubSpot, MailChimp, Salesforce. We have a ton of apps, but we also have a few third-party tools. And what those have thousands. So we're in theory connected to thousands and thousands of integrations. We do also have webhooks. So you have the ability to set up webhooks and send it to any application on the web, like any URL. And then we do also have a really cool developer portal that Nico can definitely talk way more in depth about than I can. But then, so from our integrations, it's just a really good way to share data across an organization. You can still share results from Typeform, and I'll show you what that looks like. But as of, if Google Sheets is the best way to do it, or we've also, quite a few people use Slack so that they're notified every time a Typeform is submitted via Slack so that they can check in on them. So now from the share panel, so I'm at the point of the journey where like I'm finished with my creation and I want to release it into the world. So there's quite a few different opportunities for me to actually share my Typeform. So of course, pretty basic, mail, Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn, excuse me, Twitter, Buffer, but we also have a really cool functionality for a QR code. So you can put that, I actually used that this past holiday season. I sent out cards to all my loved ones, and then I sent it a QR code that sent them to a Typeform. So it's kind of a cool, fun way to interact with folks. I can see it being really useful for like feedback as you send like a receipt or something like that, sending a QR code with a product or something along those lines. There's a lot of really cool, funky ways that you can use a QR code. We also you do have the ability to start a conversation. So what you can do is use like a chat style interface. And instead of full page, let's do a pop over, and then the design. I'm going to add an avatar. I don't think there's anything more embarrassing than that mustache picture that was chosen. But let's see. All right, let's do that one. I look nice. And I can keep the color more or less congruent with the form that I created. And so how that looks on your website is open it up, and it's just the Typeform in a way that it's easy to interact with and feels like more of a conversational, and it feels like a person. So by adding this avatar, I don't want to say you're tricking your respondents, but it is a good way to kind of put a face to a brand, and also give them the feel that they're interacting with a real person. I mean, they are, but it's just, yeah, you know what I mean? So, and then the speed, you can also play with the speed a little bit. So have the typing speed really fast, or have it at medium, or have it slow. Totally up to you. So yep, you just grab the code and put it into your website. And then also from the share panel, we do have pretty like standard embed options. So standard, naturally. Then full page, we do also have pop-up, side tab, popover, and slider. One of our new fun functionalities is to launch in an email. This is really fun because your respondent can actually just answer your form or at least the first question. This is really great for NPS. It's really great for feedback. You'll just need to pop the code in. So it does tell you like if something's off. So for example, I did add a welcome screen to this, which is a no-no. So what we can do is go back to create and remove that. It's usually not an issue with embed, but specifically for the email, it just doesn't interact very well, because the idea is that, okay, they're filling it out right away. So, but once we try to go and launch from an email, this is how it would appear. I mean, it's definitely not great, but I could go back and update the design and keep it pretty simple. So just get the code and put it into MailChimp template. And that is it for design, builds, integrate, everything like that. So now what we're going to do is I'm actually going to go into the results. So what do the results look like from a Typeform? It's a really great question. So because I haven't filled it out that much, I'm going to go to one that I have filled out. Don't be impressed. These 24 responses were all me. So our results panel does give you quite a bit of insight on where questions are performing well, or maybe where you'll see a little bit of drop off, which can sometimes be an indicator of respondent fatigue. If you do see high numbers in a certain area, it may be a good time to evaluate whether or not you need to update your survey by removing questions, or it could be even as simple as rewording them. So going back to the beginning of this talk and evaluating the experience for your audience. So what do you expect from them? Are you asking too much? For example, I asked for their email address. I didn't ask for their physical address because I don't need it. So just keeping the experience appropriate. So for example, what we see here, so 44 views with 9 drop-offs. So while this is high, it's just like my highest point. To be honest, a good completion rate, so 38.1% isn't a great completion rate for my fake form. It's usually around 50 to 55 is, I would say, the standard, and is pretty average. It seems low. Definitely in school, it was a low percentage rate. But yeah, so the completion rate, if you see it at 60, it's pretty high on average. But what this shows me is views, the starts, responses, completion rate, and also the average time to complete. So that's what's updated on the welcome screen if you do have one. And then it also shows the views per question along with the drop off. So what we can do from here is going to the summary so I can see how questions are performing. I can also generate a report. And so what this gives me the ability to do is share my results with people who maybe aren't in my organization. I can just share it here. Add a cover, add a logo, change the design. I can design my own. Again, I'm not very creative, so we'll stick with Flora. That looks nice, that fits. And then save changes. And then from the actual responses, so the reason that we set up the scoring and things like that is because we wanted to set up a lead qualification, essentially. So there's a way to look at your results between different time periods and also filter out scores that we assign to our highest probability leads. So let's say I want to look at, okay, how did this form perform between March 1st and March 13th? Probably not very well. Okay, we did get 1, that's big. But I know that the most active time looks like around mid-February. So let's see how it did between February 8th and 17th. And we can see here, so this is kind of a good way to do like A/B testing. So to see, okay, I know that we updated a question on, let's say, February 10th, and it looks like it performed really well versus the responses after February 17th started to taper off quite a bit. So you're able to kind of look in and get insights from this data to say, okay, maybe here are things that we've tried, and you're able to kind of see how that looks. So the other thing that we wanted to check was the scores. And so for all the lead qualification, so for all of those scores that I added, we will find those. We're going to go ahead and generate our report. And I'll show you what that report looks like from here. So I am seeing quite a few urgent requests. So we can share that here. And so this is how those results will appear as you share them with other folks in your organization. Alrighty, and so for those actual results, what we can go ahead and do, so one of the things that you can see is, so for example, the way that I and my company internally set up the lead qualification is to send folks to, so what I can do is I can go by calculator results. And what that will do is that will show me, okay, who are my highest leads. So for example, someone got 100, that's huge. So they are extremely likely to convert. So this does give us like the basic information. So that way your most qualified leads who do fit the closest to your ideal customer profile, you can see them right away from here. You can also download the responses into an Excel or a CSV. And that, to be honest, that's pretty much it. So we've built out a form qualifying. You're able to see kind of those scores that you set up internally with your team and kind of compare and contrast, okay, where are certain questions performing, but also who are my most qualified leads, who are the ones that we should be reaching out to yesterday. But it also gives you a notification. So for example, if you did choose to use, let's say Calendly or some other scheduling application, okay, so we'll say Cecilia, they came in and we see that there has been a time set up in our calendar by Cecilia. So I'm able to go into my Typeform results and see, okay, Paul at Simon.com, and they were super high. This is their budget. This is their current website. Great. And then they are art direction. So again, it's just this idea of streamlining that initial conversation so that you're not repeating yourself all the time. And you have a little bit more information that you can share. I mean, knowledge is power. So being able to bring that information to the first call so that you can kind of get started right away is super helpful. When like you're building a lead generation form, there are 3 important things to remember. So the same that we mentioned at the beginning. So what information does your audience need from you? What information do you need from your potential clients? And then information about the next steps. We did do some research with a professor of social interactions, Liz Stucco. We do love her. And what she says is design what you say for the people you're talking to. So it's important to evaluate your audience's experience and what is appropriate for them. Nobody knows your clients better than you, so you'll probably be fine. A couple of other, maybe one other thing that could be kind of cool for you all to use would actually be our hidden fields. So hidden fields are information that you already have. and that you want to populate. So for example, if I'm sending a second interaction and I want to include their name. So for example, if you meet someone and just think about that awkward moment when you can't remember someone's name, Typeform is smart. At least hidden fields are smart. So you can use hidden fields to remember that name on the second interaction. So the way that you would set that up would be, again, in advanced logic and hidden fields. So what we can add is name. And you can also add, like, hidden fields can honestly be anything. They can be account ID. We use hidden fields quite a bit for account ID. So for example, I have a client portfolio. I want to send out a form asking, what do you think of Amy? But I don't want them, I want to know who it came from. And so I can evaluate, okay, where can I be doing better? But I also don't want it to be, yeah, some random interaction, some random email and some random form. So I wanted to say, hello, let's say Nicholas, what do you think of your customer outcomes manager, Amy, which could be another hidden field, and their account ID is hidden from them. So they wouldn't be able to see that that is their exact account ID. So what we can do is we'll trash that one and just keep names. So I'll just show you kind of what that looks like. And so for example, we can say, what is your name? But let's say, for example, we already have their name. So even if they are interacting, let's say they're interacting with us either for first time, second time, you can use hidden fields and use logic to skip certain questions because you already have that information. Could be helpful for like email address or name. So what I can do here is we'll set this up to go to logic. Sorry about that. And then we'll change our branching and calculations. And the question before that name was on a scale of 1 to 5, how urgent is your request? And then if name is equal to, then jump to email address. Okay, wonderful. And so what the hidden field does is that it actually tacks on information onto here. So what you'll notice in this URL up here, you'll see name is XXXX, so it is those 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a name. So the name is Bilbo. Loading, loading, loading. Okay, that's taking a while to load. Maybe the name's too complex. We'll stick with Amy. See how it likes that one. Okay, that is not loading for me. So essentially how that hidden field should appear would be to either greet me by name. What it would also do is in the results, it would show those hidden fields. So again, important for, like in my case, for sending to clients, shows me the account ID. And I'm able to identify who it is without having to ask them. So say, okay, who gave me such a low score or such a high score? I'm able to identify exactly who it is. So sorry about that. This is okay. Here we go. Web design. No. 0 to 500. Actually, we'll go on the higher budget. And 5. And so that is not. So if the hidden field, so this is something I do actually all the time, is checking logic. So it's nice to, of course, test first. And jump to email address. Okay, save. Okay. So why aren't you working for me? Stick to that. 0 to 500. 5. So it should be skipping the main question. Oops. Okay, let me see if I did this incorrectly, which is very possible. Equal to. Okay. Is not equal to. That's what it was. The difference between is and is not. Sorry, everyone. Okay, so that name is Amy. Oop, AY. And hopefully it doesn't take forever to load again. There we go. Perfect. So saving because it's from my computer. Okay. And still not skipping. I apologize. This feels like amateur hour, I'm sure. That was I'm definitely doing something wrong. So what I can go ahead and do is stop sharing my screen. And that is it. So Typeform, I mean, there's kind of hundreds, millions, I'm sure, of ways that you can be using Typeform. So there are really creative ways that people are using Typeform, maybe in like unconventional ways. We see a ton of like outcomes quizzes, engagement quizzes that are being shared on social media. It's really good for marketing in general. So being able to kind of share this type of interaction. So of course, really standard, like I was speaking on the embeds. So either in an email interaction, so there are quite a few different touch points in the customer lifecycle that you can actually use a Typeform at those touch points. I did mention NPS, so we do use Typeform quite a bit internally and also with my clients for the NPS, just to see, okay, how are we doing? How can we improve processes? So Typeform is a really great way to kind of improve on internal processes, but also get feedback on a product feature. It could be something that you're implementing, something that's new, and you want to know what your community or what your respondents think about it, or what your customers think about it. So putting that on your website. And yeah, I think that's just about it. So thank you everyone for sitting through that. Sorry, I couldn't figure out how to skip my own name.
Well, yeah, welcome back. This is great. Great information, great way for people to really engage with their customers, right? And to be able to get the information and data that they need. And then just the cool different things that you guys integrate with, right? To be able to house and store that data in different places and use it as you're scaling your brand as well. So yeah, this is very exciting. And kind of what would you say is your favorite feature of Typeform?
It's really hard. There's a lot of features that I've always really liked about Typeform in general, but we have recently updated our builder, so that creator experience is just a lot more intuitive. We do have a new kind of logic called outcomes logic that I really love. And so what that does is it's kind of like multiple choice. So I think of it for like engagement quizzes and the social sharing. So you can actually share your result instead of sharing the quiz itself. And so say like, I got potato for like what type of vegetable I'm most like. And so that type of logic, it's just, yeah, the fun different ways that you can make a Typeform smarter is just really, really fascinating to me. And our team has done a really great job building it out.
Yeah, I mean, we use at StartupStarter, we use Typeform pretty much for everything. We've actually just started using Video Ask as well during No Code Week, so that's really cool. I did have a question in the chat. It says, do you have any tools to suggest questions or order of questions to help folks set up forms and funnels of their own?
It's a really interesting question. I mean, we do have a ton of like inspiration articles and things like that. So Typeform, you don't necessarily need to be a subscriber to earn knowledge about Typeform. We do have a lot of inspiration articles and stuff like that. So I did mention a study that we did with Liz Stucco, the professor of social interactions. I always mess that up. But she was just really great about like how to talk to your respondents. Like it shouldn't be it shouldn't be fake in the sense of like, if that's not how you actually speak, then don't say it like that. Especially if you're jumping on the phone with someone, they'll be surprised by like your tone and aggressiveness. So yeah, just I would say definitely check out our inspiration articles. There's a lot of good information about how other folks in the industry, and it could be an industry that's totally different than yours, but just kind of, again, those cool, funky ways that people are using Typeform to create those types of workflows, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, so for you, what is the next step in Typeform for you? Like, where do you go from here? What's to come in 2021? I know we talked a little bit about it with Nicholas, but like, what's next for Typeform?
There's a lot coming up. So I did mention the Conversations UI. So there's going to be a big push for that. So especially conversations, right? So video ask as well. I mean, video ask is another type of conversation. I think we'll see a lot more implementations. I mean, just the nature of the role that I'm in, I get a lot of product requests. So just like pushing product requests and things like that. So we want to make lives a lot easier. So also like users in collaboration and things like that. So how you actually interact with other members of your team within Typeform. Hopefully we'll see some really, really big movements on that. Oop, Laurel, you're muted.
I'm on mute. Well, great. Yeah, this has been wonderful, and it's very intuitive, right? It's very easy to do. It's allowing you to basically take the information that you have, plug it in, make it pretty, right? You like plants, right? So she was able to make this pretty into the way that she wanted it, and it really allowed her to engage with the actual tool itself. So this is great. Yeah, I'm excited to see what's next. I love the fact that you guys brought out this new product, Video Ask, by Typeform. So excited to hear about that. We'll actually have a workshop tomorrow on Video Ask specifically. So get ready for that. More to come. Right now, we're going to move into our networking session, and we're going to talk about how Typeform integrates with other useful tools that you can use. So that's happening right after this. As soon as we're done being live here, we'll go live with Nicholas, and he'll talk about integrations, and we'll walk through a couple integrations and how easy it is to connect your other tools to this and streamline that information. Also coming up, he'll talk about integrations with Airtable, and then from 12 to 1, we will have an actual workshop with Airtable as well, which is a huge proponent of integrating into your guys' tool. So exciting. Amy, I'm jealous that you get to be in Barcelona. I see it's dark there. I'm in wonderful LA, and it's still bright. We're barely even in the morning yet. But thank you so much for being on. We really appreciate it. And yeah, we look forward to hearing more. Make sure that you guys take advantage of the 20% promotion that we have running with Typeform. Join at startupstarter.co/join, create your free profile, and you'll be able to set that up right away and be able to take advantage of these tools and a whole bunch of other great deals and perks during No Code Week. Make sure what you see here down at the bottom, make sure you go and you follow Amy as well. And there's her social handles. So
I have about 50 Twitter followers, so you'll be part of a small audience.
Yeah, all good. But you don't follow Typeform, right? So
yeah, true. Follow Typeform.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Amy. We'll see you soon, and we'll see you guys right now for networking. Chat
awesome.
Soon.
Thanks, everyone.
The .xyz community is made up of celebrated artists and creative outlets. acclaimed entertainers and designers, award-winning professionals and industry leaders, game-changing communities and organizations, and forward-thinking businesses discovering tomorrow's next big breakthroughs. The word is out, and the world is spoken. .xyz is the domain for the next generation. Build a winning online presence with a domain that knows no bounds. Join the revolution. Get your .xyz today.